And we're back to talk about the brain some more because it's a fun place to be. So we're at the end of the chapter now, and the first keyword we have here is cerebral cortex. Now, the cerebral cortex is actually the surface layer of your brain. So you know how if you see a picture of a brain, it's all that wrinkly gray stuff? That's your cerebral cortex. Surface layer of the brain responsible for higher order functioning, things like memory, reason, emotion, all the stuff that makes us people, right? This is also known as gray matter. You'll see that in popular discussions, right? So we're going to talk a lot about the frontal lobe because it's where all the stuff is that makes us, well, real human. So the frontal lobe is in the forward part of the brain, it's in the front, extending back to a fissure known as the central sulcus. The frontal lobe is involved in reasoning, motor control, emotion, language. Now you know what I mean by it makes us human. It contains the motor cortex, which is involved in planning and coordinating movement, motor, like how you move. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for higher level cognitive functions. So that's things like analysis, reason. And Broca's area, which is essential for language production. We'll learn more about that in a few weeks when we get to a language and learning. So that's the basics of the frontal lobe. And then we have one more slide here with some more brain parts. So within your brain is the thalamus. And the thalamus is a sensory relay for the brain. More on senses later. And it is involved in every single sense except smell, because smell has its very own thing that we will learn about in the future. And another part of the brain that I want you to know about is your hypothalamus. So your hypothalamus, very helpful, regulates a variety of, there's that word again, homeostatic processes, including things like regulation of body temperature, appetite, blood pressure, kind of important things. It also serves as the interface between the nervous system and the endocrine system. So we learned a little bit about hormones in this chapter as well. So it kind of allows those two systems to talk to one another between the electrical system and then the hormonal system of the endocrines, right? And it's also involved in the regulation of things like sexual motivation and behavior. So one little part of our brain can do so much. And then the important thing that you really need to understand about the difference between a neurotransmitter and a hormone, because we learned about both of those in this chapter. Neurotransmitters tend to be very fast, right? These are literally electrical signals. They're going to move quickly, but they don't last as long because they're electrical signals. They die out quickly. Whereas hormones are going to take a little longer to do whatever they're going to do, but they last longer, right? So that's a chemical of a sort. Technically cholesterol if you want to get into it, but that's a chemical of a sort. So obviously that's going to take longer to get somewhere in your body, but because it's a chemical of a sort, it's going to last longer in your body. So that's the big difference between neurotransmitters and hormones that you need to understand from this section.